Monday, the 19th of May, and if you have a flight to catch, you might want to leave early because updates on M3 routes talking about crazy traffic getting into JKIA this morning. Heavy traffic into JKIA. Anyone with an early flight ought to have left the house already. Another one on major traffic heading into the airport. Thank God we are not going away.
We are here to stay.
And also Githurai, there's something on Githurai 45. Somebody saying there's no law there, like too many passengers.
What do you mean there's no law?
I don't know what they mean, but they're saying there's no law on Githurai 45 buses between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. I think when I'm mentioning free flow.
Okay. How's my Billy today?
My parents are doing very well. Shout out to mom and dad. Or to Arwai. You're not gonna hate. I'll find out your village name.
It's okay. I've no problem. In my village, we don't have a vehicle, so it's fine. We don't have traffic updates. Mawembili, Apanakoma Mawembili.
We've been trying to, some people have been asking about James's other name.
Please.
I'll tell you. Do you want to know? Yeah? You want to know? James or the Dupule? Live tweets for you there.
Major traffic at JKI's main, what is that?
Entrance.
Right. Just before it disappeared. Yeah. But this, please respect pedestrians' right to avoid at zebra crossings. You know what someone told me? That yes, when you're walking through the zebra crossing and people, they almost feel like they can stop and do a jig, and
I
dance,
know, I always feel that. I always feel that.
Yeah, but then it's the right. It's the right.
I know.
So one driver, stopped, and then guys who are stopping was like, why are you not stopping? It's like, sawa zebra piteni wasi.
No, I'm one of those people that if I'm crossing, I always feel like I want to do a catwalk, like take my time.
See?
I feel like it's your moment, time of fame.
Just do a jig.
Those are more tweets for you. Today, James has a jig he wants to teach everyone. And I wonder where he got it from. We're going to get into our press review now and begin with the Standards, which is talking about Raila's team's new war and CORD's Coalition of Reforms and Democracy plans protest against the president on corruption, on Anglo-leasing, tribalism, and county appointments.
Well, remember, the former Prime Minister is scheduled to come back on 31st. That is Saturday, this coming Saturday.
Is that for sure? Last time they prepared the dancers.
Well, finally, the dancers have been prepared. They were dancing yesterday. The curtain has been raised, if you like. And that I think is one of the key messages that they're on, that, the team leader would be back on Saturday. So I think a precursor to that, I think this was CORD's attempt to try and put the issues that they would like to canvass in the next week or so on the table, straight up. As it would appear, he would have come to a non-issue, and so this is the things that, CORD is pushing and saying these are the key central for us, and we're going to push on this, and, we're going to push you back on this fronts, and I think that is what it is. So Saturday it is, May 31st. For the CORD faithful, it is a public holiday, they've said.
Oh, yeah? Are you going to be at the airport?
I think we'll be covering this, Sophia. You would be, somewhere at JKIA telling us how the fog is, But seriously, though, I think this, if you watch and put what the major dailies have done, is that, I think what CORD has done is put, 4 issues on the table and forced the government side to react to these issues and say these are the issues that we want to talk about, and it's interesting that there is no insecurity or any other issues like that. I mean, it's
corruption, Anglo-leasing, of course, linked to that, tribalism and county appointments. It is going to be, people will be watching to hear, as you say, when the former Prime Minister comes back, what he'll have to say, in as far as these issues that have been raised is concerned. I can see one of our panelists there in that jig, Omar Hassan, Senator Mombasa County.
He might want to repeat this morning.
I know, we should put him to task. Yeah.
We'll
be like, can you show us how it went down yesterday?
Do
the jig. But yes, and of course there are supporters there. But also, and as a rejoinder, and this was said before by the president that wait for my term to end. He has insisted and maintained that, you know what, it is our time in government. Let us do this the best way we know how. You may have or disagree with how we are doing things, but we were elected, so let us run this show.
Absolutely. 3 or so years, to go, and the Jubilee machinery and the government has been on, trying to do what they think in their time and in their space what they should be doing. The county appointments, going out, launching programs, and I mean they've said it is in the first 100 days we've been laying a foundation to take off for the next 3 years, and you believe that's what it is.
Indeed, and you are dissing my digs, where my folks are from, but it's where the donkey day was marked.
Is it close to Maimbili? Because I know Maimbili, I mean it's...
So there's a Donkey Welfare Association, or Donkey Day, National Donkey Day on Saturday, which was very cool. I just wanted to show James that, so the 10-day timeout or closure of the registry offices at the Lands Ministry elapsed, and so they are back on, and Ngilu promises efficiency as that 10-day land records audit ends. Says things will get better in as far as service delivery is concerned.
Yes, 67 million, that exercise for 10 days cost us still 67 million. Yes, and the ministry says it's from here now, it's going digital. 1.3 million files have been retrieved. I like this story, but I always insist and say, well, what is the problem of putting all these file numbers and the names and whatnot into some newspaper someday, so that we can all search and see the exact files that were found?
Well, state orders action on GK plates. On page 6, the government has ordered that all government vehicles bearing private number plates be refitted with the GK plates to curb misuse. Yeah, so if so the club, Moshimwa so-and-so is partying tonight. GK number plate.
Yeah. And it's extremely important, it's been misused, in traffic, flouting on the traffic rules, driving on the wrong side and all those. I mean, it's important. I mean, I think over a long time, and possibly, what the kind of government that we had in the last, the coalition government, extended departments and so many officials and whatnot. I think it's important that, we get back, and resized it and know what vehicles, are owned by who, driven by who at what time and whatnot.
And finally, it seems the issue has been put to rest. The Mombasa governor, Ali Hassan Joho, has been an issue of his qualification academic-wise. Page 7 covers that. Joho was our student. That is what the Kampala University Senate is saying. In as far as that dispute is concerned, there were initial concerns that he actually did not have that degree, but the university is now behind him.
Yes, the Vice Chancellor, Badu Kategera, addressed the press conference and said, well, this is any statement suggesting that any other body has revoked or is about to recall or cancel Joho's degree is idle, irresponsible, redundant, and should be ignored. Is it ignored?
Ignored. Please ignore those people. That has been said in quotes. Page 10 is an important story. Of course, you have Uhuru there talking about ignore, just ignore. Ignore.
To ignore.
Uhuru is warning against divisive politics. On page 8, a continuation of the story on the front page. And this, of course, from the, voices against what he has directed in as far as payment to Anglo Leasing is concerned, coming into play of the county commissioners, opposition against the same. And he's saying that his critics are just about politics and divisive politics for that matter.
Absolutely. Again, I think we'll see this, on and on. Of course, appointing a county chiefs, if you like, the CEOs is going to raise storm, if you like, and indeed it has. And, of course, will be pushed back on that. Governors have made it clear that, we do not need any CEOs in the counties.
But his argument is that what he said the other day in response to what is the member of parliament, the senator called
Boni Halwale.
Boni Halwale. He was talking about that if the governors work with the county commissioners, and I mean the county assembly members and all these other people in their counties. As a president, he has 47 counties to govern. His argument was he also needs eyes on the ground and ears.
And absolutely, I mean, a good argument. Like you said, the county, I mean, it's two levels of thinking here. I think the president has functions, the national government has functions, and it has to deliver those mandates and the functions that it has, you know, on the people of this country, as well as the county governments also have functions and duties and have to deliver on those, you know. So I think it's about how to do them both, and the county governments feel and believe that for the president to appoint people, you know, to come and oversee, you know, be in the counties, sort of fighting devolution. The president thinks different, says, well, I need to have eyes on the ground, like you say. I need to have people who can help me deliver the functions that I have.
Especially the functions that are not devolved.
Yes, like security. I was about to say insecurity. Security.
I know, it's become quite...
Education, you know, and all that. Yeah.
Right. And grab yourself a copy of the Standard as well as we move on to The Nation, because there's also Crazy Monday in there. And the headline today in Crazy Monday is Bedwetting Husbands and Wives. And that's all this has to say. Daily Nation, counties battle it out for public varsity slots. Nakuru is expected to get highest number of places as regions with higher populations stand tables and those that had the best mean score in KCSE examinations.
All right, and over 1 million lost land files found in audit. We've already talked about that. 1.3 million to be exact, covered for you there on this channel. And
on page 6, you have CORD is warning Kidero over loyalty. So, Nairobi Governor.
Let's, you know, not get about this. If you follow the rally yesterday, I think the mood was very clear. You know, they said if Kidero has, you know, the courts, ilimsaidia kidogo, you know, if the courts help him and reinstate him, I think he needs to change his course. You know, he needs to figure out that where he is and where his party is and where the Nairobians are quite two different places. So he possibly might want to walk back in his politics, and I think, as you had correctly mentioned some other time, and the party was very clear on that. Right. So the difficulty would be, what if the courts decide that Nairobi is going for a fresh election? It becomes an interesting problem for not only Kidero but also the party, because if they change him and change that matrix, then whoever it is becomes their candidate. And if they fail to capture Nairobi again, you get the perception that they've lost, you know, effect Nairobi. So I think it will be dicey and interesting. And I hope both Kidero and the party would hope that the Supreme Court, you know, overturns that decision from the Court of Appeal, so that, you know, they threaten him, you know, spend the next 3 years, you know, in the court of idea. Yeah.
James. Yes, indeed. And they have pledged their support for Kidero.
Absolutely.
As he's, you know, going through these turbulent waters and wait for the resolution of the same. Back page of the Daily Nation, bodies to be dug up from secret graves, and after a survey of area, pathologists conclude there could be more burial sites besides one that was discovered on Saturday. So killings, there's a discovery at a disused quarry that was made by a 62-year-old while herding goats.
Yes, I mean, I think this happens today, and possibly we'll know what kind of injuries, you know, and who possibly these people are who were killed and their bodies, you know, buried in those massive graves.
All right, the Star today, URP plots to impeach Waigoro over Rugut. That is Ruto TNA MPs accused CS of violating the Constitution. Is this possible, James? Can they actually impeach the cabinet secretary?
I think what possibly they can do is censure, you know, the cabinet secretary. What that means, go to parliament, you know, and pass a motion and put that dissatisfaction, you know, and say we're not pleased by this certain act, and as parliament we censure you, and that would send to the president, and the president would have to, you know, consider, you know, what kind of disciplinary action you know, to take over the CS. In other terms, in the previous constitution, what you had is if a minister was censured in parliament, remember the ministers then were MPs, so they would go to parliament, and if they're censured, it means they could not, you know, deliver in parliament as they would have, you know, read statements, you know, offer government policy and whatnot. And that would be really problematic and troublesome, you know, for a government. In this kind of system, I don't understand how, you know, censuring Waiguru essentially achieves, you know, or anything. So I think it's just noise. Besides that, I had it out.
The question of Lagut.
Yes, I mean, this.
They feel it's politics.
It's a political problem, I think. You know, it's something that, you know, URP, which has means, you know, in Kalenjin and Eldred, those kind of places feel that this is one of our own, you know, and it's being taken, you know, and this matter of URP and TNA, you know, getting more slots than us and things like that. I think it's a political problem more than a legal problem. More than a legal problem.
And we'll watch those developments for you and continue to follow that story as well. Page 4, you have Gidu denies blame on Anglo leasing. The president, in essence, did just pretty much put it right at the doorstep of the Attorney General in as far as how Anglo leasing has played out, talking about they need to win cases, fight for Kenya better. And he's saying he's not to blame.
Interesting, and I think LSK has taken it, you know, and put it as a personal problem for Attorney General Githu Muigai. They said they're going to strike him off the list of senior counsels. That did not please him, you know, and he came out and, you know, he was, you know, quite combative, you know, and talked about, you know, how LSK is making this personal and in good time. Also, the Attorney General would open, you know, would open contempt proceedings against the Law Society of Kenya.
All right, grab yourself a copy of the Star for more details on that. Finally, the headline is Rage Over Insolent Code Language. And you know, this wording on the front page reminded me of a speech that was delivered by the UN chair. Your friend, what's his name? Not your friend.
Is my friend now?
I'm just saying, no, there's quite a number of vocabulary that's used to explain this. And I was like, okay.
Yes. He's the student leader. It's called Babu Owino.
Yes. And this captures just some, you know, you go through it and you're like,
Uninsulated insults crept back to the political scene over the weekend. The section of leaders throwing civility to the winds and instead hurling epics clearly beneath their dignity. The confrontational stance assumed insolent levels yesterday at a code rally in Kibera, eliciting sharp reaction last evening from dismayed Jubilee leaders.
That, amongst other stories, making headlines in the People today. So grab yourself a copy of the Standard newspaper. Crazy Monday has also very interesting stories to get you through your Monday, with Oyunga Pala asking, who the hell is Solange? You want to read that on page 4 of Crazy Monday in the Standard newspaper.